So to better show everyone the suspension, brakes, and tires on this drive axle and the coupling system, I'm going to uncouple the tractor from the trailer. Okay, so the first thing you have to do with that is you have to put the landing gear down. Okay, so anytime you unhook the tractor from the trailer, the first thing you want to do is the landing gear. Don't pull the pin, don't take the airlines off, don't do anything else until you've put the landing gear on the ground. Okay, the reason for that is you can pull the pin and you can take the airlines off and get in the truck and forget the landing gear, and if you pull straight forward, this trailer will drop. Okay, and you could damage a trailer. Okay, if you have heavy product in there, okay, it can really damage a trailer. So you want to make sure you put the landing gear down. So the landing gear itself has two functions, okay, high and low. Okay, high and low range. Okay, the reason it has two is the high range, okay, it moves a lot slower, it's easier to crank, and that is designed for if you have weight inside this trailer, okay, it's going to be able to move that weight. It's going to take longer, but you're not going to be able to physically turn a crank and pick up a trailer that weighs 50,000 pounds. Okay, if it's empty, you can turn it, but if it's loaded really heavy, it's going to be hard. So the low range is on this trailer pulled out. So the handle is pulled out, and that's the crank here. So you're going to go counterclockwise, and you're just going to keep cranking it. All right, so right here, it's a little difficult to move it. It's an older trailer, okay? But you can see it moving. Okay, and that's the key. If you can see it moving, it's in low gear. Okay, if you're turning this thing and it's spinning like this, but it's not moving at all, you're gonna be here all day. Okay, so going counterclockwise, and will someone else go there? Give it a crank. Yeah, just use the one I was doing.
What were you doing this way?
Or is it?
Like this?
Yeah, got it.
Oh, well,
there you
better.
go.
Yeah, it's much better. From the left over.
Okay, now right here, the reason it might be difficult to move that is this right here goes into the handle. And if that's not in the handle, it's going to be a little harder to crank. Okay, go ahead and stop it right there. Okay, now, thank you. Now, there's a few reasons why you would want to crank this farther down on the ground than this. Okay, could be two reasons for that. One, you could be on softer ground. Right now we have this on concrete. That's why we moved it over here instead of the dirt side. Okay, because if you have, you're dropping it in dirt or even grass or something like that. If you drop this and this trailer is loaded and it's heavy, okay, when this thing hits the ground, if you pull out, okay, you don't want this hanging up here because then it's going to drop and it could sink into the ground. Okay, that could, at worst case scenario, this thing could actually tip over. If it's loaded up top, it's heavy. So you want to make sure you would, at that point on soft ground or uneven ground too would be another reason to do it. You would want to crank it all the way down. That is the only reason you would ever crank it all the way to the ground. We're not going to crank it to the ground. You can see here, both of our landing gears are off the ground a little bit. Okay, the ground here is not completely even, but right here you can see there's a little bit of space from here to the ground. Now, we want that because when we pull out from underneath this trailer, what's going to happen is the trailer is going to slightly drop a little bit. Okay, and the reason we want that is that when the next person, or maybe it's us, backs under this trailer again, what you're going to do is you're going to lift the trailer a little bit, and at the very least, you won't have to drop the trailer anymore, because you want to make sure that there's zero space between the fifth wheel and the top of the trailer. If there's any space right there at all, then you can get what they call a high hook. And that means you don't have a good connection between truck and trailer. Okay, and that can be very dangerous, because if you're driving, okay, and that becomes disconnected, you can imagine that being a problem, right? Or at the very least, you could just pull forward and that thing falls right away. Okay, so you could damage the trailer or the truck. Okay, so we're gonna pull this apart, and the first thing you want to do after you put the landing gear down is you want to pull this pin out. Okay, so that releases the jaw from around the kingpin. Okay, don't forget to take off your airlines. Okay. Kevin, you want to hop in there and take her apart? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to drop the air out of the air tanks, and that's going to lower the suspension. So as it is right now, this is going to drop half an inch, okay? But if we lower the suspension, it won't drop at all. Okay, so that'll actually lower this suspension down. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you cut it off.